So, what we're really going to discuss over the next 20-25 minutes is really more about how Gen AI is leading the change in enterprises. So today, of course, I think with all the sessions that we've had during the last 2 days, AI has been the only word which has remained consistent in each of the discussions that have taken place. But what is more interesting is that as we are progressing further, we are seeing that AI enablement, AI adoption, and even the AI usage and therefore the customer acceptance of AI is increasing day by day, which is really, where we wanting to get at, and which is really the stage where it looks interesting and becoming more like a mainstream technology. It's like the e-commerce of 2013. And by the time 2015 hit, e-commerce was the only commerce that was happening. So, I'm going to start with you, Ankush. I see that you've already reached about 1 billion users on your platform, which is really fantastic, and congratulations for that. What difference are enterprises using the solutions through AI-based virtual assistants? Which could be chat bots, video bots, voice bots. What difference has it made to these organizations? How do they feel that, they are better off than what they were versus when they were not using this technology? And how much repeat rate of companies using this technology? So let's say once they start using these technologies, do they sort of continue with it, or do they feel that, human intervention is better? And do you have to plug and plug in terms of how the enterprises then therefore adopt AI technology?
Thank you, Ritu, for having me here, and very good and interesting question. I think there are a lot of questions within this question. So first of all, you see, yes, customers are adopting it, and the low-hanging fruit of any GenAI AI is customer experience. Yes, we start with customer experience. But it's not just limited now to customer experience. Now you think about alerts, monitoring of, say, all the banks in India are using our product, say, called CoRover notifier. So we do conversational monitoring of the critical systems like UPI and FASTag and others. So, I'm not sure if we are thinking about how do we make that, say, data center monitoring or software monitoring through GenAI. So yes, we started with customer experience, and then customer experience, of course, is not just to make people happy, it's also to, yes, make them happy and make businesses should make money. So the upsell, cross-sell should happen. So then we start making leads and doing the conversions, doing the transactions with AI and GenAI, and payments also by just GenAI, which people speak and do the transaction. Then we went to the monitoring part, and then also in the internal operations of the companies. So as you rightly mentioned, whether people, they switch between AI to GenAI, a couple of them, yes, because we don't get result on day one. We need some kind of risk appetite and some kind of patience to see the actual AI performing. Few customers who have the patience, and then they really like it. And then we start with one, and then we have clients having 4 use cases with us, one after another and after another. And there are few customers say, hey, we have no patience. This is our season to convert, and now AI has been adopted. So it does take few weeks at least to kind of mature and better training and then perform. Some clients say, no, let's switch back because it's a client. But we suggest them, let's do parallel conversion, then see A/B kind of testing, few users, we will present AI. But eventually, everyone is agreeing to that AI, GenAI is helping them convert more. So convert more because there are a lot of stuff we can do with AI. It's not just the customer experience part, it's also about saving time for customer, giving them the personalized information, helping them buy more, use more. So yeah, we have kind of, now we got more than 11,000 accounts, customers who are using our platform. So we have not just figured out, the one bucket here, this works and this doesn't work. So we are still learning, but I think it's all going towards AI, GenAI. So everyone wants to use it. The use cases are not just finalized, but I think, yes, we are in the process of normalization, and then the performance would happen fast.
Sure. Let me come to you, Ganesh. So you promote a more machine-based small language model. And so how is it different from a regular AI MLM model when you're talking about small machine language model?
So just to clarify what we do, right? So we offer a agentic AI platform for specific verticals, right? So today we do a lot of work focused on the BFSI vertical, right? Now what we are saying here is you have a number of options when you're solving problems for customers, right? You could use a large language model, you could use a open source large language model, or what we really propose in many cases is what we call a small language model. Now, what are these small language models, right? So fundamentally, these are models that are focused for specific verticals, right? So what really it does is instead of having those multi-billion parameter models, our small language model for BFSI is about 3 billion parameters. The advantages that brings to the table are firstly low latency. We do a lot of real-time applications. For example, voice AI agents is one of them. Real-time agent assist is one of them. So when you have real-time applications, you want to lower the latency, and small language models work perfectly fine. Again, we work in industries such as BFSI. Now, when we work in industries such as BFSI, you want to make sure that you have very little hallucinations. Accuracy should be a lot more. And in that context, again, what helps us are these SLMs, because they are guardrailed, they are built with smaller number of parameters, focused on the use cases, and for those use cases will work with a very high level of accuracy. So in summary, if I can say so, low latency, high accuracy models that serve to solve the business problems. And we've seen some fantastic successes, right? I mean, for example, we use it to solve real-time problems in industries. For example, debt industry, right? We helped the BFSI industry collect over close to 30,000 crores in the last 12 months. Concurrency rates of our voice AI agents is about 30,000 concurrent requests often. That's a few million requests per day, right? So we believe in this concept. The other thing that we do is what we call as speech-to-speech LLMs, which we have recently launched. Again, the reason for launching this is as you do a lot of voice AI agents, you lose out on the emotion in the conversations, right? And again, this further helps in reducing the latency. So we just announced this in the recent NVIDIA conference, and this is another aspect of what we do. So two things that we do, one is SLMs, and second is speech-to-speech.
But so much language polarity in India that you see, so how are you sort of, when you go for small SLMs, how do you sort of address which language models you want to pick up?
So firstly, I think fundamentally there is, as you go every 15 to 20 kilometers in India, your dialects would change, your accents would change. So what I'm talking when I say small language models, this is the generative AI piece, right? And what we are doing there is, so take a step back. If your question is regarding voice, I don't know whether that is the question, then you're going to really look at the pipeline.
No, I'm asking you that when you pick up an SLM, how do you regionalize it? I mean, within a certain region also there will be speech differentiation.
Yeah, so that's, if you're talking speech, essentially you need to take a step back. So if you're looking at voice AI agents, the software pipeline starts with what's called an ASR, or speech to text. It would be followed by some sort of an SLM, and then it would be followed by something like a TTS. And what we are doing with the speech to speech is starting with a speech encoder. At the end of it is a speech decoder, and in between you would have a transform model and a phonetic representation. Right? So what I'm trying to tell you is the first thing is the ASR is the fulcrum today if you don't have a speech to speech model. And we are the originators of ASRs. We built India's first ASRs for many languages, starting with Kannada because we are from Bangalore, and Hindi and various other languages, right? Now, how we built that, if that's your question, then it's been happening over several years. And we have some of the largest annotated data sets, proprietary data sets in the world, a few 100,000 hours of this audio, which we've collected over time. And make sure that it has the right demographic representations. For example, if you take Belgaum district, the way you speak Kannada will be very different from how you speak Kannada in, say, Hubli. Right? Even if you take my specific example, I'm a Tamil from Mumbai, right? So the way I speak Hindi and the way I speak Tamil is very different from a Mumbaiker speaks Hindi and a Mumbaiker, or a person in, say, Chennai who speaks Tamil. So you need to have collected data in those representations and built it into your model, which we have done over time, and that's how our ASRs are fully accurate. Your SLMs largely come later when it's processing on the text, right? And we've done a lot of representations, fine-tuned some of the models out there, and now also launching some of the fundamental models in this space.
Right. So let me come to you, Siddhant. So you're addressing a very niche segment, which is of management consulting within AI. And that too, your sort of specialization is more in the M&A space. So how are you sort of leveraging that OpenAI's GPT and more open source models to build your model? And do you feel that once the organizations take a certain size, then eventually they have to go out, leave the open source model and build their own sort of AI in-house?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for having me. Just some quick context of what we do. We're a LLM-powered investment research platform, right? And to your specific question, right, I'll probably take a step back, probably 3 years back, right? When GenAI was just getting started, you had the GPT 1, 2, and then 3 is when things really started to kind of pick up. The way we approached it, we have obviously started from the application layer as most other startups in this space, considering the amount of money that's involved. But purely for us, it was solving a customer problem, and then we can work backwards from there. Initially, I would say about 2.5 years back, it was only OpenAI's GPT APIs that were available. This is not even when ChatGPT came out. It was pretty much the only model out there which was doing a great job in terms of cognitive synthesis. And although we saw Anthropic, Gemini from different players kind of come up, it wasn't really meeting that bar of quality that we had in OpenAI. So to your question, yeah, I mean, initially, our whole tech stack, underlying frontier models were purely based on OpenAI, a closed source model. It's only in the last, I would say, 6 to 8 months, we're seeing some of the other frontier models really catch up, right, in terms of the evals, in terms of the benchmarks. So when we look at our architecture, for us, it's very simple. We just need to provide the most high quality, high fidelity output, and our customers don't care which model we're using. So over a period of time, we have diversified. We use something known as a mixture of experts kind of a model where are very similar to what Ganesh mentioned, right? It's an agent which really orchestrates if you're doing a particular research task. If I want to create a research output on a topic, let's say small modular reactors, there's a ton of data I need to kind of read through, parse through, synthesize. And there may be 200, 300 micro tasks that one has to perform, right? Read through the articles, synthesize them, structure them, come up with insights, mash up multiple different data sources. And what you've seen is there are different models who do better in certain kind of tasks. An OpenAI's GPT-o1 may do very well in some kind of reasoning, but a Claude may do very well from Anthropic in terms of just the tonality of it. right? So today we use a mix of OpenAI, Anthropic, even DeepSeek very recently. It's a mix of closed source and open source models that we've kind of gone with. Uh, to your second part of the question, right, where do enterprises really see that adoption, and is there an inclination to build everything in-house? I think many of the firms initially when GenAI just came in, at least the enterprises with whom we work, are always very cautious about what data is going to AI, whether it will be trained or for model training. And one of the natural pushbacks that many of the earlier customers for us had was, uh, hey, I'm not comfortable uploading my own data, right? Can you host OpenAI or whichever frontier model that you have on our own kind of servers? And that was just not possible. Open source actually makes that possible now. And again, open source with just Meta's models that we had were not good enough to be meeting the closed source benchmarks, but we've all, pretty much all of us would have heard about the DeepSeek moment, right? Which has really, got us to a bar of quality where it's almost at par with some of the other frontier models. That now lets larger enterprises host these open source models completely private and not being concerned about their data going elsewhere. So that's how enterprises are looking at it. But one of the challenge that comes with it is like today I might have maybe OpenAI as the best frontier model. Tomorrow it could be DeepSeek. Day after it could be Gemini 2.0 or 3.0. And many of our customers don't have that engineering kind of prowess that they can keep on upgrading and maintaining which model to use. And that's where I think a lot of the application layer and middleware layer or LLM ops layer players kind of come in and bridge that gap.
So, just to extend the question that I asked Siddhant, in terms of using the open source model, I mean, I'm sure you keep on bringing a lot of new features into your system. So do you deploy open source, or do you always keep on building your own?
See, we are big believer of sovereign AI. I think, thanks Siddhant for saying that. See, most of the companies first, they question where this data be stored, but very few companies are asking the model which you are using, so which data has been used to train that model. So I think I'm at the first person who is saying even companies ask that. So I have not seen any company asking for it. So they must ask for it, right? So you are worried about your data, but are you not worried about the model which you are taking, with which data this is trained? So people are saying publicly available data. So in India, laws doesn't allow you to scrape the data, which is copyright data, right? So we are already working on illegal data, and few people are saying they're working on synthetic data. So what does it mean? So if Independence Day of India is 15th of August, so someone is saying, hey, 15th of August is Independence Day for India. How can this be a synthetic data? They just rephrased it. So for sure, we need to have sovereign AI. First, I think if the word war happens, it should not. If that happens, maybe we are going to cut the communication across other countries. Then the people who are using the foreign LLMs, I think that would die. So we need to have, yes, open source models are definitely helping. But again, what's the authenticity of India laws currently doesn't allow us to use copyright data. So yeah, we need to have the sovereign AI. From India, the data should be from India, should be trained in India, deployed in India, used in India. And yes, your question, enterprises of course should have their own LLMs. We need to have large models, small model, and probably people started saying nano models. I don't believe in nano models. I think if for the company's use case, we need to have AI agents, right? Then you use small model, and as a backup, you use large model. So I'm the big believer. I'm sure, I think yesterday, incidentally, was the last date when these AI guidelines have come from Ministry of IT. And I'm not sure if you have, we must read that. All the people who are in this AI must read that AI guidelines. So very well articulated. What are the laws? And most of the AI companies are living in shallow. You read that laws. Yes, they are talking about, yes, should we open up? Should we open up scrapping the data? What should be the guardrails? I don't believe we should open it up. Why are you taking someone's copyright data and then creating business out of it? Yes, so I think enterprises have the data. If they don't have the data, yes. See, we ourselves have 1 TB of data, right? So everyone is claiming they have a lot of data. From where it has come? So yes, I think all companies should question and they should adopt their own enterprise LLMs.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but do you think the revenue models are in support for the same? So, what your customers want to pay, what they want to invest for the services that you're giving them in terms of for AI adoption, and, their perception of whether the ROI they're getting by using this AI is sort of in balance.
See, companies have money, right? So they will pay you money when they make more money or we help them save money. So this ROI stuff would come when we are not creating impact, we are not creating value, we're just talking. When we help them prove like they are making money or saving money, or maybe intangible things are they're making their customers happy, so why would they not pay? So far, we don't work with the startups. We work with the companies. They have money. It's all onus is on us to really produce something which they get benefited or their customers get benefited. I think there is no question of they not paying money. It's all about are we producing something meaningful?
Do you have the same opinion as Ankush, or would you, Mike?
I think, of course, right, and I think there is significant. If you're alluding to something that Satya Nadella recently said as well, right? So let's focus more on the ROI, and I think there's enough ROI in several aspects of AI, as Amish said. And the other way is if organizations have a concern, several of the way we engage with organizations is often now tied to outcomes, right? So in case you want to speed up the adoption of AI in certain businesses, we also tell them that, look, we can tie it to outcomes that you will get, and so obviously the upside to us personally is higher, right? And we also bear the risk. So those are some of the models, in case you find departments or organizations worried about adoption or taking time to launch their particular project, right?
And on our experience, right, when it comes to just ROI or adoption, Ritu, it's, totally aligned with what Ankush also mentioned, right? It's the onus is on us because most of the enterprises companies have the budgets. In fact, if you ask me, GenAI is probably one of the very rare technologies where the ability to prove value is very easy. One may not trust it, one may question the accuracy. There is obviously a lot of debate about hallucinations, things like that. But if you're able to circumvent that, it's really not an issue. What we do see, at least in our customer base, is the propensity to pay for SMBs or individual customers can be a challenge at times. But mid-market enterprise onwards, I think definitely budget is not, or ROI is really not the biggest of concern because it's the immediate value with GenAI getting unlocked.
Sure. You wanted to add something to this?
No, I think we should ask for it, and we need to have enterprise LLM. I think same stance, and so people now just need value, whether they don't care whether it's a chat GPT or DeepSeek, but I think they should care about it. So when we say data is oil, but I believe data is not oil, it's crude oil. So, and first we need to have good AI system to really make usable oil, and let that oil not be used by other countries to leverage and make money.
Okay. So finally, what I want you to say, share is that what kind of regulation intervention you need from the government for better adoption of AI by enterprises. Don't say that government has to make it compulsory to do it, but overall, what regulations or sort of what hurdle removals by the government could lead to better AI adoption for companies?
Yeah, so in fact, we submitted our response yesterday was the last date. I think first of all, the regulation should be out. That will bring adoption because there are many companies who are ready to adopt the solution. Let's say we build video bots, that's interactive digital twin. So what is our stance? So is deepfake allowed or not? Right? What kind of use case? In UK, we cannot create the fake. In India, we can, provided it is, so there are few clauses. If it is obscene or if my intention is not to harm it, I can still make it. So I think the government would do a great favor by just putting the regulations out. Now the guidelines are out. So I think then people would know where to invest, where not to invest. They are ready to invest, they have the use cases, but they are not sure whether they should spend money. It should not happen they spend millions of dollars and the tomorrow regulation is out, they cannot use this. Say we do voice cloning, we do video cloning. So what is our stance? So I think the government, of course, they are doing a lot of brainstorming. They have suggested to build inter-ministerial board because just IT ministry probably cannot take decision. There are other ministries also involved. So right step they have taken. They're saying we should build inter-ministerial board to decide the laws, whether we have to change it or not. So whatever stance we take, if we know this is our framework to work on, so we should be aware, okay, we have to build this kind of solutions. So these are the guardrails. And the companies would also invest because they know they are taking the solution under the framework and the laws. So I think the only, if government is, I think since they have taken last, it was yesterday, maybe in a couple of months if the regulations are out, you'll see a lot of adoption happening.
Yeah, I think world over, I think people are grappling with this stuff, right? I mean, I work with one organization called Global Partnership for AI, right? And I think countries all across the world are deciding, whether there should be regulation or self-regulate. I think now the needle is pointing towards regulation, right? I think the first, just pointed out, the first few things are out now in the last couple of weeks. Let's see how that pans out. And let's see, as long as things are clear, I think organizations will be more confident and, I think there'll be more adoption.
Yeah, just to kind of add to what Ganesh and Ankush mentioned, right? There is the policy framework part of it, where at least for us, the way we look at our startups, right, is if it becomes very restrictive, like we see in EU at times, it can just stifle growth and innovation. So I think apart from the policy framework, I think what India really needs is a ton of research labs. There's already great work being done in terms of, SLMs, but I think that's really the biggest gap, the data sovereignty, but even the AI, over a period of time, GenAI especially can get very concentrated, which can have like many geopolitical implications, right? You just don't want to cut off. If we are building all the applications using foreign models, right? Closed source, of course, will be a mix along with open source. We really want to be in a state where at least there are a bunch of research labs in India building LLMs for India, right? I think if the government can provide support there from grants to the enablement of policy, I think that will be only recommendation that I'd have.
Sure. Any quick question in the house? I know I've already been told to wrap up over there, but if there is any quick question, we can take one. Okay, we can then do it offline. Thank you, gentlemen. I wished we could have continued this conversation further, but thank you for sharing your insights. And I do believe with you that GenAI is really the way to go, and we'll probably be seeing more niches the way you are building for management consulting also happening in lots of other industries where LLM models will only be serving certain industries. As they say, AI is what the future is looking like. Thank you.